Welcome to Canadian Justice. I'm Christine Van Gyn, and today I'm chatting with Assistant Professor Geoffrey Sigalet, the director of a brand new and exciting project, the University of British Columbia Centre for Constitutional Law and Legal Studies. The UBC Centre was created to help facilitate research on issues in constitutional law, constitutionalism, the rule of law, the separation of powers, rights and liberties, and the philosophy of law and related legal topics. The center also helps students interested in these areas of research and helps students create and maintain connections with the wider legal community. The center hosts speakers, workshops, conferences, and reading groups, and aims to help support the funding of legal scholarships. They have just wrapped up their inaugural conference, which was what actually hosted a Supreme Court judge as the keynote speaker. Now, full disclosure, I am very supportive of this new initiative, and I'm listed as a center associate. Now here is Geoffrey Sigalet to tell us more about this new project. Jeff, thanks so much for joining me today. Let's start with what you can tell me about the new project. What made you start the new initiative?
Thanks for having me, Christine. I'm delighted to be on Canadian Justice, and I'd say that what really got me interested in starting this project was, first of all, just having experience as a postdoc. Before, I'm a brand new assistant professor. It's like the baby version of a professor. And before this, I was in several different postdoctoral fellowships at McGill, at the Research Group for Constitutional Studies there, and which is run by Jacob Levy, and at the Stanford Constitutional Law Center, which is run by Professor Michael McConnell, who's a former circuit court judge, and I was actually also briefly at Queen's. And my experience in these kinds of centers is that they're really useful and fantastic institutions for bringing together more legal research, bringing together people with different points of view about these things, and just getting more education and research activity going on issues in constitutional law and constitutionalism. And I wanted that to be the case wherever I ended up academically, and so it's just a no-brainer to try to start this. I say no-brainer, but it takes a lot to start something like this, and baby professors have trouble starting things along these lines, so they need help from grown-up professors. And I'm so lucky. I've had a lot of help from my senior colleagues here. When I pitched the idea, everyone was very supportive, and things got off running real fast. And I should also say that another fundamental, so one part is just being really concerned about and interested in having a robust and vibrant research community on constitutional law here at UBC. And the other concern is I'm broadly fairly concerned with the lack of viewpoint diversity in the legal academy, and actually just in the academy generally.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. Do you think that an organization like this, and I've looked at some of the people that you have listed, and there's a huge diversity of viewpoints among your research associates and center associates. Frankly, a lot of observers think that among academia, there is a lack of viewpoint diversity, a lack of debate, and a lot of academia seems very one note. Do you think that this center is going to help change that?
Look, it's just one little center, but I think you're right that the observers see a problem with viewpoint diversity in the Canadian Academy and the American Academy, for that matter, and it's not just anecdotal. MacDonald-Laurier released a study a few days ago where they found that like just 9% of professors or something like that openly admit to being conservative. That's insane. And there was a Main Street poll the other day showed that 40% of Canadians might vote for Pierre Poilievre, who's, if nothing else, he's probably pretty conservative, right? And so to have 9% of the professoriate versus 40% of Canadians identify that way, potentially, whatever the disparity is at the moment, it will obviously change depending on the political moment. It's just clear that there's not a lot of right of center views in the academy, and that's a problem, and it's a problem for the law and the legal practice insofar as ideology can affect and influence lawmaking and lawyering, right? And so I think that the center, it's not designed to be some kind of way of injecting a whole one perspective into things, but rather fostering a variety of perspectives in a way the academy hasn't done a good enough job of.
And it's sort of part of the purpose of the academy is to have open conversation and debate and free expression. We got to go to break, but we'll be right back.